Another launch of the PSLV has successfully put 7 foreign satellites into space. This is just 24 hours before the crucial maneuvers for the Chandrayaan 3 in its trajectory to shoot for the moon begin. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the launches that you are seeing with the Chandrayaan 3, with the cryogenic engine and the boosters strapped on, the PSLV C-56 there, no boosters there, just hitting near Earth orbit. I mean, back-to-back launches in 15 days. This itself is no mean achievement, okay? To have back-to-back rocket launches every couple of weeks. If we can do this, think about it, you will have 20, 30 rocket launches a year, which is where we want to be. So this itself is no mean achievement that we managed to put it off. But there's a larger conversation, less so about today, because the PSLV has launched these rockets, has launched not only the rockets but also put these satellites successfully into orbit, another successful launch, but also in the build-up to what is expected over the next few days. So let's put this into perspective. The last orbit-raising maneuver has happened on the 25th of July. The translunar injection, which is moving out from the Earth's orbit where the speed buildup is going on, is now being planned for the 1st of August. Let me quickly open up this telecast. Joining us on the broadcast is Group Captain Dr. D.K. Pandey, Suresh Nayak, and Dr. Srimati Kesan is joining us as well. Mr. Nayak, Dr. Nayak, if I can begin with you, sir. What is now, for people watching this broadcast, can you explain to us what the Chandrayaan will be doing over the next few days? What does the translunar injection actually mean?
Actually, orbit raising operations, 5 of them were conducted, and the purpose of orbit raising is twofold. One is to increase the apogee, that is the farthest point of the spacecraft from the Earth towards the moon as much as possible. And secondly, as it goes around the Earth 4 times, 5 times, there is a sling action which increases its velocity. In order to get into the moon's direction and escape the Earth's gravitational field, the satellite has to acquire the escape velocity, which is 11.2 kilometers, and it has to be in a position in line with the moon. All these things will be achieved by 1st of August, and then the injection procedure will be done, and then it will take about 6 to 7 days to reach vicinity of moon.
Yeah, so that was going to be my next question, sir. So when sir is mentioning apogee and perigee, the perigee is very, very shallow. It's very near Earth orbit, but the apogee can go up to 40, 50, 60,000 kilometers. Yeah. The last thing which needs to happen is you fire the rockets, which, yes, the lunar module is going to have rockets on it, just enough that rather than being recaptured and being brought back down to towards Earth, you just fire them enough after having generated the speed using the Earth's gravity as a slingshot. This is a far more fuel-efficient way of getting to the moon, even though it's much slower. The straightforward way is how the Apollo missions did it, is you aim at the moon and you blast off and you get there within 3 days. This is the more efficient, fuel-efficient way of getting to the moon. Okay, sir. So once we reach the moon, then Dr. Nayak, then of course the reverse has to happen. You're using the moon's gravity to slow yourself down. Can you explain that? Can you explain that to us also, please?
Yeah, but before that, there is one very critical maneuver needs to be done by ISRO, and that is the insertion of the spacecraft into the moon's orbit, because its velocity at that point of time has to be less than the moon's escape velocity, and then only it will be captured by moon in its gravity, in its field of the view. Otherwise, it will go beyond moon. So this is a very critical maneuver, and I would like to
make... Okay, so this part we've got right twice now, both in Chandrayaan 1 and Chandrayaan 2. So this is the tested technology part. Then of course you get captured in the moons, and then you work down your apogee until you hit 100 kilometers, I'm told, is the height of the lunar orbit. Quickly, let me get Group Captain D.K. Pandey into this as well. Group Captain Pandey, then this is the part we've done twice. The big deal, of course, will be that once we are in a stable 100-kilometer orbit, to actually land a vehicle on the moon. I mean, so the lunar capture should not be too much of a problem. Fingers crossed.
The point is, the last time what we have seen with Chandrayaan-2, this time all endeavors have been made to ensure that that thing is not repeated, because we are saying we have done earlier like this and we have done like this. So definitely what we have learned from previous mission, definitely we are going to dwell upon those aspects and perform better. And once it is there in the orbit of moon, as you have correctly described, so once control of the gravity is handled properly, then speed aspect is more important, because what the impact, what is going to make, like the south polar part of the moon, they are going to land. That is basically what most of the spacecrafts are going and landing there. So the pinpointing the location is the first mission, and then correlating speed with the requirement of the distance and speed requirements, and then you land there. So it is speculative about, I believe it is on 23rd August evening hours. It is there. So hopefully things should go normal, because adequate precaution has been taken, like strengthening of legs of those craft, as well as the speed control aspect has been also looked after.
Okay, so let me put this into perspective. So you're going from near about 11.3, 11.5 kilometers per second speed.
Per second.
And you want to slow down to 1 meter per second. And that is 0.001 kilometers per second. So from 11.3 kilometers per second to 0.001. And that's the range of speeds which you have to maneuver to get this into this soft landing on the moon. You know, you can have an X amount of G-force that the lander will be able to absorb. It's been strengthened, its design has been improved. We've learned from what happened last time, where we, in the last split second, something went wrong. Let me quickly get Group Captain Jha into this conversation also. Group Captain Jha, it is exciting. Now, the part which happens in the next 24 hours is, of course, heading towards the moon. We've been discussing it. This part we sort of know how to do. This is just about getting the thrusters right and the mathematics and the calculations right.
Well, we know how it is to be done, what is to be done, everything we know. It's only that after the Chandrayaan-3 has been, put into that swipe, and with the perigee motor burn into the lunar trajectory. In the lunar trajectory, it will head, and while approaching to the moon, which could be, somewhere there, as it keeps on going away from the Earth, its speed from what it was near or just trans escape velocity, maybe 11.3, 11.4, 11.5, somewhere there, it keeps on getting slow and slow. And by the time it reaches the moon gravity influence area, it is washed out quite a lot. And in addition, the Chandrayaan motor now turns otherwise. It now decelerates for the craft to be slowed very much, and then get inserted into the lunar gravity. That is the lunar injection that we call it. After it goes to the lunar injection, initially it will have an elliptical orbit there in the polar section, and subsequently that elliptical orbit will get corrected to the circular orbit, and that too absolute polar, and that too at a very low velocity, because we have to remember that the moon has got the escape velocity, which is just around trans 3, we can call it. It is 2.8 to 3 point thing.
Okay. So Group Captain Jha, last time around with Chandrayaan-2, so we had an orbiter and a lander. This time around, we are not putting in an orbiter. So will the entire vehicle as it is attempt landing, or will there be another separation in lunar orbit?
There is another separation, because this time the lander is being carried out by another small area, small object, which is got the entire fuel to carry it. So it is being carried with that, and when it goes to that 100 into 100, after it is all stabilized, after the moon comes and rotates in those days to the morning of that south pole. So it all has to match, and ISRO has got a cushion period there in
Okay.
that is time when it will separate out from that particular unit, and then it will initially go one or two orbit into that to again stabilize, and then it will go for landing.
Yeah.
So right now it is the three things together. It is the vehicle which is carrying out it to the moon, and the lander, and within the lander
Okay.
is the rover.
Okay. So this part we have done not once but twice before. Okay. So this part we know how to do, to how to achieve a stable moon orbit. In fact, the orbiter from Chandrayaan-2 is very much still functional. And is still orbiting the moon, and probably will provide communications uplinking for Chandrayaan-3 as well, the lander. This time around, the legs of the lander are stronger, the thrusters are better, and there is now a real-time computational software which is available with cameras on board the lander, which will do real-time ground mapping to decide on its own automatically an appropriate space to land within the landing zone, which does not have craters, debris, rocks, etc. So the process will be mostly automated. We can only watch on and hope for the first images. But when the images first come, you should hopefully see the lunar horizon from an Indian spacecraft for the first time. And that, Dr. Kesan, is going to be a pretty awe-inspiring event, because not only will that first image come of the lunar horizon, perhaps it's in the South Pole, so you won't be able to see the Earth very clearly. Who knows what glimpse we'll catch, but you'll see the lunar horizon for sure. You will also see the wheel prints, the tire marks, once the lander comes off, and you get photography of that. Then of course there'll be the scientific part of it, which I know is very interesting for a lot of people. But for people watching this, Dr. Kesan, that moment is going to be very important.
Absolutely stunning. In fact, I should say we are all waiting for that moment. And I think the entire country after a cricket match is waiting to see only the rover, move on the surface of the moon. And in fact, we are trying to, from Space Kids India, we have, a 5-meter dish, and we are trying to have a feed, and, trying to see if we are able to download that moment for us and for, a lot of children who are going to be with us on that day.
So how do we go about, what is the effort that you're taking to go about organizing it? Because everybody, I'm assuming, will be watching television for sure. ISRO will be holding its own events for sure. But the moment once the landing is successful, how are you organizing it, ma'am?
See, we are all, left, right arms of ISRO, I have to say. We have our responsibilities to be performed with regards to outreach. So what we've done is we've spoken to at least about 10 to 15 schools around, Chennai, and we are bringing them over. We are bringing the, 10th graders who will understand about what is exactly happening. And, we thought we will give them a whole idea from the, launch to the landing. We wanted to explain. And if everything goes well, to also show, glimpses of how it is landed through our antenna.
Okay, so let me get Dr. Nayak back in. Dr. Nayak, now I know the physics is important and the scientific experiments are going to be important in this, 2-week long landing. I don't want to nazar lagao, so yes, hopefully it's going to be absolutely successful, and fingers crossed, and ghee, shakkar and whatever you want to put in on that. But that moment, sir, when there are millions of kids who are going to be watching this, and you need the next Dr. APJ Kalams and the next Vikram Sarabhais, and that has to come from a moment. It doesn't necessarily come from the spectrographic computational analysis. It's going to come when you see that image, and a lot of kids are going to go, this is cool, I want to do this.
Yeah, actually, you said correctly that it is going to be a very exciting and inspiring moment for the whole country. And, last time in Chandrayaan-2 case also on the 7th September 2019, there were, I think, 4 or 5 crores of Indians were curiously watching that in the morning time. This time it is going to happen on 23rd August at 5:47 p.m. And I am sure when this is, of course, going to be real telecast will be there. And when our spacecraft Chandrayaan 3 touches the Earth, that is going to be, I mean, safely and softly, that is going to be the first very exciting scene. And there is a real success, we would say. Then second exciting moment will be after a few hours, the door of the lander will be opened and it will form a platform, a ramp-like thing for the rover to roll down and then come down on the moon's land.
Yeah.
You see, one thing I want to explain here, the whole process starting 15 minutes before the launch till this moment which I said, that the rover comes down, all those maneuvers and the processes will be controlled by the onboard computer.
Onboard computer. So let me make
Yeah.
the point. So, okay, so when the launch happens from Sriharikota, the launch is happening on board the rocket. The rocket is completely different from the payload. Okay, so there's a rocket team that is doing the rocket launch, which then hands over to the payload team once the payload has been put into orbit, which in this case is the lander. Okay, so let me quickly get Group Captain Pandey back into this. Group Captain Pandey, now, what will we actually get? Because I know that there are cameras, because we got a glimpse of the cryogenic engine disconnecting from the payload. A few still shots were released by ISRO. So there are definitely cameras on board. But what is the potential that we will actually be visibly able to see? I know the data will come, the telemetry will come, but for us to be actually to see a photograph or a video, what is the potential that is expected?
Initially, because we all are so much of eager to know the things, how it is going to develop and how, whether our basically interest is safe landing first and then observing the other things. But once the images start coming, because initially you may be interested, but after long time, a person who is not very much in the game, he may not like to continue with the observations, because scientific observations regarding the Earth's surface, how the duration and other things are there, then what type of particles are there, because then they do have the different type of science involved, which a normal average person may not be interested in until unless he is a part and parcel of the theory. Now, once pictures start coming, we are happy. Then slowly we'll put the dots together, because it is not the continuous picture which is coming, you are getting from same place, and you have to see. And again, when your own body is moving, Vikram is coming out and observing the various things. Then basically one more interesting part is the wheel mark that ensign has been made for ISRO and Government of India. Let's see whether we are able to see those pictures or not. We are keeping our finger crossed, but we definitely, as a normal person, will definitely, as a layman, will definitely like to see those
so we
marks.
know for a
those are
fact. So we know for a fact that there are cameras on board. We even know that there's a young Bengali scientist by the name of Arjun Nandi, who's been part of the team that designed the cameras on board. So there are various kinds of cameras, Group Captain Jha. Then there are the spectrometers and the scientific analysis, and that's going to happen. But we got a glimpse at the point of separation of the cryogenic engine, of looking back the lander camera. I know there is a camera underneath the lander, because that's going to be doing real-time image recognition on board to decide whether this is a stone or this is a piece of empty spot where I can land or not. So the cameras are going to be there. How much of this telemetry will you think will come to us? I'm hoping a lot of it.
Not many of it, to be very frank, Rishabh, because what is right now happening is what we are talking. The phase of landing, soft landing onto the moon, is crucial, and that is entirely computerized, in the sense that we can't operate, ISRO can't operate from here, because it takes about almost 4 seconds for the command to go and implement entire thing. You get the input from there, you act onto it, and then send the command. So there is a substantial delay. For this particular purposes, everything has been computerized there, and it is being operated in-house, in situ, by the CCC of that module. The moment it separates out from the propulsion, there is one more catch. This time, the Vikram, or the rover to Vikram to propulsion module, is going to be having the network, and then it goes to the IDSN, Indian Deep Space Network. And from that, it will be coming back to the ISRO at our Earth station. So this is the normal mode of operation this time. We have not kept the previous orbiter into the loop, but should anything fail into the propulsion module, there is a transmitter, there is a reflector from the propulsion module. If that should not work, then the lander will communicate with the old orbiter, and then the old orbiter will send to the IDSN, Indian Deep Space Network, and from there it will come. So we should not expect all these things to be, telecast live, that this has happened, this has landed, and now you see the horizon there.
No, why should we? Why should not we? I mean, come on, we absolutely will expect, sir, because I know there is a, there is the Chandra surface thermophysical experiment, and the instrument for lunar seismic activity, and the alpha particle X-ray spectrometer, and the laser-induced breakdown spectroscope. All these things are going to be great science. But sir, we are Aam Aadmi. We want to know how many megapixel camera. भी 40 में MP है, 50 MP है, HD में आएगी, आपकी 4K में आएगी. We want to know this. I will ask ISRO team to tell us whether they're going to send us the first 4K shot from the moon or not. But ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Within the next 24 hours, we will have an update on the countdown to lunar injection. We are just under a month away now, 25 days away from the actual landing of the landing craft accompanied with the rover. Is going to be exciting. The next crucial step is lunar capture, as we've discussed.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.